Space Jam: A New Legacy is the long-awaited and long in development sequel to what I'm gonna say is the classic animated movie from the 90s, Space Jam, which paired up Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes in a basketball game to save, I guess, kind of just Michael Jordan. It's not like they were saving the universe or anything. The studio, Warner Brothers, has been trying to make a sequel and develop a sequel for years. Finally, I believe 25 years after the original, we have Space Jam: A New Legacy, starring LeBron James as a fictionalized version of himself, who, after a disastrous meeting with Warner Bros. Executives, who pitch him on an idea based solely on the fact that, like, their algorithm came up with it, they trust their entire billion-dollar studio and industry to this algorithm, and the algorithm's bright idea is, let's just get LeBron James and put him in everything. We'll put him in old movies, we'll put him in new movies, we'll put him in movies that haven't been made yet. It sounds ridiculous, but the algorithm is played by Don Cheadle, so it's a lot more, it sounds a lot better coming from him. After LeBron turns it down and basically says, this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard, Algae Rhythm takes offense to it, and soon LeBron and his son are transported into the Warnerverse, which is basically like HBO Max. All the Warner Brothers properties are around. LeBron and Algae Rhythm come up with Algae Rhythm tells LeBron he has two choices: win a basketball game and get his and his son's freedom, or lose and be stuck there forever to do basically Algae Rhythm's idea without, like, being free to do anything else. Like, he's just trapped there to do the idea. From there, LeBron has to assemble a team. He ends up assembling the Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny, and together they try to beat the Goon Squad. I mean, it's basically almost beat for beat the original Space Jam. It's just got a big corporate sheen on it, a big corporate paint job on it. There is all sorts of cross promotion and marketing in this movie. It is clearly made to sell toys, sell LeBron James gear, sell LeBron James basketballs, which I think there was like a LeBron James basketball in like every scene. It's like a Seinfeld Superman type of Easter egg, it looks like here. So I will go quickly through what I did like, because unfortunately it was not a lot. I really liked Don Cheadle here. He was clearly just going for it, and his suits were impeccable. They were impeccable. I enjoyed. There's like a sequence where they're going around trying to assemble all the rest of the Looney Tunes who've been kind of scattered throughout the serververse, and I really liked that. I thought it was the funniest part of the movie. I wished that it was longer, because it only takes like 8 to 10 minutes of screen time for them to get everyone back together, and then it's like, all right, there we go. And that was when the movie was at its creative best, is taking these classic movie moments and putting all the Looney Tunes into it. Um, Other than that, this movie kind of, like, I don't know who it's for. Like, obviously it's for children. I understand that, and like the jokes are aimed at kids, but the references that they're making are to, like, The Matrix and Mad Max Fury Road and Casablanca, and it's just like kids aren't gonna know that. So yes, it's like not lowbrow, but it's like jokes aimed at kids, but it's jokes aimed at kids and references that are purely adult. So it creates this weird thing where you're like, okay, I see what they're doing, but like, okay. And LeBron is LeBron. I mean, he's a charismatic individual. We saw how good he was in Trainwreck. If you saw the movie Trainwreck, where he's again playing just a fictionalized version of himself, but what the movie does here is that's really interesting. Is like the fictionalized version of him as a dad is like a hard ass. Like, this whole first act of the movie is spent with him basically just being like to his kids, "Hey guys, basketball is life, and I got everything that we have because I worked hard. So you better be prepared to work hard because there's no easy rides at the James house. These 4 lines on this basketball court, that's business time." And like his youngest son, Dom, is like wants to be a video game designer, and he's like working on building a game from scratch. And like the mom character that's supposed to be LeBron's wife, Savannah James, she's like, he's 12 years old and he's designing a video game. Like, this is incredible. And LeBron's like, yeah, you know what's gonna be incredible is basketball camp when he uses the, and it's just like, I get that like there has to be some type of conflict in the movie, but like I'm just surprised that after all of this, like they settled on like LeBron James is a hard ass parent. We also see how close he is with all of his family every day, basically. I mean, he writes hashtag James Gang on his shoe before every game. So it just struck me as a little odd. Another thing that was kind of weird for me was there wasn't enough of the Goon Squad. We learn how they get into the game. We see, who they're based on. There's a short snippet with all of the actors, or all of the players, I should say. And then that's it. Like, you get a little bit of voiceover during the basketball game with them, but, part of what made the original Space Jam so good is, like, the Monstars steal the talent from those players, and then those players have, like, an existential crisis trying to figure out why they're suddenly terrible at basketball. And those are, like, some of the best parts of the movie. And the fact that this movie doesn't address it at all and is just like, yeah, it's computer avatars, it's like, all right, well, now all we have is to focus on everything else. And, the script is pretty thin. So you're kind of just left being like, all right, well, I guess on to the next thing. And then you just wait for the next big scene to happen. They fill that time with references mostly to other Warner Brothers properties, which for the most part plays pretty well. I'm sure that I'm going to have to watch it again to see all of the characters that are in the background of the actual game scene. So in that end, it's a really cool like Easter egg hunt. But as a movie, it didn't. This is gonna sound crazy, but it didn't have the heart of the original Space Jam, and like the Looney Tunes aren't featured as much as like you would want in a Space Jam movie. Like they all kind of eventually get one or two moments to shine, but so much attention is paid to Algae Rhythm and Dom, the son, as they like bond kind of, and it's odd. It's a lot of odd choices. I know this movie's made already a ton of money. It was a surprise number one at the box office this last weekend, so I'm sure it'll be a lot sooner than later until we get a sequel to it. A football player, maybe get like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or someone, or you get another basketball player, but the director Malcolm Lee, who has also directed such classic comedies as Scary Movie 5, he says he thinks The Rock would be a good Space Jam 3. And like, the man's got taste. I don't know what to say. I'm very here for a Rock Space Jam, whatever they have him doing. But another problem here, and I talked a little bit about how thin the script feels, is that this movie has 6 credited writers. And when there's 6 credited writers, that usually for me is a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. Like the more writers you get in the credits, like the more cause for concern I tend to have. So there's 6 writers. The movie is a little long for what exactly is happening scene to scene. It's just under 2 hours. And the cast has its charms. It's cool to see the Looney Tunes again. But overall it just does kind of feel like a shinier remake of the original Space Jam. It doesn't have, the heart. It doesn't have the memorable bits. The soundtrack even isn't as strong as that original Space, but also nothing could probably be as strong as that Space Jam soundtrack was. That soundtrack's incredible. And just all in all, it just kind of feels like a lot of attention was paid to all of the cross promotion and branding that was going to happen, and like they left out a lot of opportunities to make jokes for sports fans and NBA fans, jokes for Looney Tunes fans, jokes for like it just feels like there was a lot left on the board. And in a 2-hour movie that took over 25 years to make, I'm just surprised that they wouldn't be like, all right, let's throw everything we have and see what we got. I would probably give it a C. I teetered back and forth between C minus and C, but I think just my nostalgia for Space Jam and my enjoyment of basketball, and like I have no problem with LeBron, so I'm gonna just say a C. It's average. It's acceptable to me. I don't know if I'll watch it as much as I watch the original Space Jam, but I'm glad that they made it, and I'm glad that kids will hopefully have their version of Space Jam now. Like if the old one's dated, or kids know LeBron, they may not know Michael. So I'm really glad that we have that. Let me know your thoughts on the movie, how you think it compares, what you liked or didn't, and any other thoughts you might have on the movie. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will be back soon.